Hey everybody, this is Sunless Studio and we are officially live. Okay, so I have a confession to make. I'm trying a lot of new things right now. The commercials, the ad breaks, that's one of the things. I'm trying to squash pre-roll ads. This new setup that I have, what I want to try is to run commercials during breaks and during starting soon screens. That way we don't have pre-roll ads for people who are just jumping in. Because I personally don't like pre-roll ads myself, so I'm really trying to make some new changes to where we don't really have to deal with that as much. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm going with right now. Since I don't really have any experience with doing this, usually I just let the pre-rolls take over. Just let me know if there are any things that make it unwatchable, or if there's anything that's really not pleasant for viewing, because the whole reason that I'm doing this is just to make for a better viewing experience. Yeah, so anyways, I have all sorts of news, which is pretty fun. I kind of streamlined the way that my camera connects to the computer. It actually connects directly to a server that is being hosted by my computer. So that hopefully it stays nice and connected. It says that it's live, but I'm not actually seeing any live footage on camera. So I'm going to see if I can potentially refresh it, I suppose. Let's see what we can do about that. Sync Cam Direct. So that's another thing that I'm actually trying to do that's new, is I have that for when the camera disconnects. It says that it's connected. Okay, there we go. I did have to do a little refresh, so that's so much better. Okay. I was a little bit concerned there. I'm trying all sorts of new things, like I had said. I even boosted the audio on my mic a little bit because I noticed in my past streams that my voice wasn't terribly clear some of the time. So hopefully playing this back actually sounds a little bit better. Yeah. So yeah, I've been working on stuff. I have. Some things I've been working a long time on. Some things, you know, I'm really trying to fine-tune everything that's going on my stream. And yeah, it's a little challenging, but I think that it's a healthy challenge. I think it's good to try new things. I'm also gonna go ahead and try to start up the hand cam as well. Let's see if this will actually work. That would be great. Let's see. How's it going? Okay. Alright, so because there's a direct connection to my computer for the main cam, and that I now have access to actually this sounds bad, but a lower quality stream, so like just a lower resolution stream that goes in, because it's only a small square in the center anyways, it should reduce the lag. So that when both cams are going, they should, one, be able to synchronize just a bit better, and two, I'm kind of just hoping that the frame rate drops don't happen so frequently, because that was an issue before as well. Yeah, so I'm just kind of walking around with my palette cam, and then I'm going to go ahead and get the chat started on my additional device, my second device. Let's see here. Stream Manager. What about that? Perfect, okay. There we are. Okay, guys. Let's get this started. Now I'm really hoping that pre-roll ads are indeed squashed. I've been seeing a lot of things that are kind of like it can only, no matter how long your commercial break is, just before starting this, I saw some things saying that it'll only disable ads for 30 minutes, no matter how long the break is. But then I've also been seeing other things that say if you run 180 seconds, so 3 minutes of commercials, then it disables it for the full hours. So I'm trying to go for the full hour, but I have no idea what's going to happen. And yeah, so if you guys get any pre-roll ads still, I mean, it's hard for me to tell. So I might actually, like, tomorrow, possibly, get a little bit of assistance from Keto, who is my husband. He can't be here tonight because he does have to work tomorrow. But let's go ahead and put some paint on our palette and get working on this tonight. Yeah. So I finished my painting. That was the commission for a good friend who loves Pokemon, much like I. So I was very excited to work on the commission for him. Yeah. He just got it today. It got there just today. And he sent a picture, and it's there in good condition, and I'm quite happy about that. And I'm so glad that I got to work on that. It was a lot of fun, that Pokemon commission. I did finish it. I should definitely show pictures. I do have a varnishing video as well of it. I also have other varnishing videos to share for the child. Still working on the underpainting here, but I thought some blues in here would be good to have. Okay. Got my cat tongue brush in my hand. Yeah. Oops. There we go. Now this is just some blues on my palette right now. I'm putting down some cyan and some, this is cobalt, this is cyan, and this one is ultramarine, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that between those two. Cool. I've noticed something. It seems like people really enjoy the paint cam, the hand cam, with the palette and everything like that, because you can really see the paint get smeared around and moved and stuff like that. So I think that's probably a desirable thing that we want to keep, right? I think I might want to roll up my sleeve that way. Don't you know, get acrylic paint all over my sleeve. That would kind of suck. I mean, it happens, but it's just not my favorite thing in the world. I'm wearing my intervals hoodie from the concert that we've gone to. Alright, back to Tundra. Tundra's Majesty. Yes. So I need some refreshers, to be completely honest with you. I'm not exactly in the flow state right now, so it's probably going to give me, it's probably going to be a minute before I really get into that. Although I'm starting to have some ideas. I am. In fact, I'm thinking that perhaps I can start on some of the sky colors. Now I know that I just put down the blues, but I'm thinking if I put down some of this vermilion and magenta. Killer combination. And really make some great sunset colors with these. They can do wonders. Gotta be careful not to dip my paint top into another paint color. That would suck. That would kind of suck. Alright, here we go. I'm looking at it right now and I'm thinking to myself, let's begin. Also, the yellow Azul light. Now, I'm thinking we need a heavy body paint. Let's go yellow light. Yeah, for the yellow light. Actually, put that right there. There we go. Let's move this camera just a bit. You can probably hear that the sound of the sound of that paintbrush in my mouth. I'm awfully clumsy tonight. I just feel clumsy. Something about me. Just feeling mighty clumsy. I don't know why. It happens. No worries. We can mix up a really pretty color over here. You can really see it if I just adjust the camera out a little bit for you. You can extend it just right there. See a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. Much better. It's kind of like a salmon pink, almost. If we can get this behind our dragon here, get the color of a nice sunset sky. A gorgeous sunset over the tundra. Let me tell you, today I don't have any reference. I have no reference at all. So if I don't like what I do tonight, then I'm thinking that I could just honestly get some reference and look it over and do some better studying. But tonight I am challenging myself. Actually, I pretty much like to challenge myself a lot, so. But tonight I am just going for it. Just gonna go for it. Yeah, here we go. And I do think that it would be really nice if I can pull it off. So as I come down here, I kind of want a gradient into the yellow, but as I come out here, I want a gradient into the magenta. This is how I'm seeing it in my head, and that's how it makes sense to me. And of course, the vermilion marries the two. Does. Brings them together. So I'm hoping that I can be heard a little bit more clearly tonight. It is quite the challenge getting all of the audio just right. I had the balance kind of set in a way that would make sense for my kind of like a closer to the mic sort of stream, like when I was doing the digital painting. And that's just not what I'm doing. I mean, I'm walking around. So unless I had some kind of wireless headset, which I don't, and if I did, it would just be another connection for my poor computer to handle, which I don't think is ideal. Yeah, I think that it's just better that I have my mic out at kind of a distance because I bump around like a crazy person here. It's a lot of fun. I get my exercise moving around, but yes, the audio does probably suffer a little bit from it, but it's a price I'm willing to pay for my mobility, and something I'm willing to sacrifice for that. So, something that I had noticed after I got my prints today, my prints arrived today. I should probably backtrack a little bit. I ordered prints from a company. It's a print company. Go figure. I had done a review, a video review, an unboxing of their products before, called Optimal Print. And to be quite honest, I got my prints in the mail today, and I was extremely excited. I was so stoked. But it was really sad because the camera disconnected. Oh no. It says that it's live. That's so odd. Alright, let's try this again. That's so odd. Maybe I can get it to reconnect? Alright. Let's go ahead and try something. How odd. Yeah, it looks to be that it just... I think it's a problem with my camera itself. It seems to be something like that. But I can check the direct connection itself. Hopefully that works. And you know, if all else fails, I still have the old method of connecting it to my computer if it happens to be that. I don't think it's that, but it could be. Let's see what happens if I try to reconnect it to the server on my computer. I'm using something called Monotiny. It looks like it reconnected there. Okay, very good. Looks good. Looks good to me. Alright, well, that was silly. I wonder what that was about. Alright, let's try this again. Okay, reconnected to chats. Here we go. Alright. We are back. Perfect. Okay. Well, anyways, I digress. I got my prints today. I was really stoked about it. I was so excited. And they got here unscathed by the ruthless FedEx. And they shipped me some pretty blurry prints. And the color is just... It's almost like they were running out of ink or something. It seems so washed out. And even if you ignore that part, let's just say that's all my fault and I sent them a bad image. Let's just say that was me. Okay. But I was missing a print. I was missing one aluminum brush print. And it was sad because it was the one thing. There were two of them that I had ordered. I didn't really have the funds to order more than two, and I wanted to try them out. It's a new thing that I had never done. The aluminum brushed prints. It was something new, and I really wanted to try that out. So I did. I got 2. I ordered 2, but only 1 came. Only 1 was packaged in the package, so it's kind of sad. So yeah, there was that issue too. I mean, it was just it was a few things. It was a few little issues, a few little problems. So hopefully after contacting customer service like minutes before I went live, about a half an hour before going live, hopefully they get back to me with some good news, because I could really use it. I mean, I poured a lot of money into those prints, and it was an investment, and it's sad when that kind of stuff comes out not good. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go ahead and just like go over this stuff like real gently. I still want some of this to peek through, but I want to gradient it out because we're going to overlap that later with our darker colors. With the trees, we're just gonna kind of be nice and gentle, go in a nice circular pattern there. There we go. And that kind of stuff happens though, unfortunately. It's just part of the process. When you're getting prints from a company that it's like, you know, you're kind of putting your faith into a company that may or may not deliver. They may or may not produce a viable product. And so it's kind of difficult for artists who don't do their own prints. Now I do some of my own prints. It depends on what it is, but some of the things I can't do, like the aluminum prints, the metal plate prints. I can't do those in my workshop. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to. I just don't have the equipment for that kind of thing. But I can do things like prints on wood. I can do things like keychains with fabulous gloss, a very domed gloss finish. And that's all a very handmade, hands-on sort of project. So I mean, you know, not perfect or anything, but they come out quite nice though. Customers from Etsy, I've really positive reviews on that, and so I feel comfortable and confident with the way that I make that kind of thing. I feel pretty good about it. Feel pretty good about it. I adjusted the way that I made them until I was getting the best kinds of reviews. I mean, until people were completely satisfied with my recipe, the way that I made them. It's important. It is super important. Yeah, but I'm just a little bit disappointed in Optimal Print. They did so great too. I mean, another thing too is that they used to give like these magnet mounts. They were like really awesome mounts that you would get for your aluminum prints. And they discontinued those types of mounts without actually telling anybody. And when I ordered from them the last time, they sent the prints without actually sending they had a French cleat attached to the back. And a French cleat mechanism, if you don't know, is kind of like it's like a long rectangle that kind of, it gets put on the wall and it hooks upward. It's like a long rectangle that's that goes horizontally, that has like a hook up. And so you bolt that into the wall, and then on the back of the print, there's one that's going in the opposite direction that hooks down. That's kind of like the same the same long rectangular horizontal shape. So it goes over and under like a hook, like it hooks on. And it's nice and it's sturdy, it looks good, but it's not a cool magnet. And they didn't say that they were changing things, they just kind of changed things. And, you know, it's their company, they are at liberty to change things up. But the communication just would have been nice. That's all I'm trying to say. The communication and the just kind of saying that on the website or something like that. Just would have made for a more positive experience, I think. Okay. But that's it. I mean, I still like those prints. They're still nice. I'm still quite happy with the way those ones turned out. But hopefully I can get the whole thing resolved with the prints that I currently have in my possession. They are blurry and they look like some terrible exposure filter was put on them, and I didn't do that. I mean, when you look at the preview of the file that I sent them, it just doesn't even look like that. So, I mean, I'm just worried that they're not going to, you know, do anything about it, but I'm just really hoping, because I'm pretty strapped for the cash right now. Because I gotta get my shop up and running, I gotta get things moving, and that is a very important factor in it. I mean, you know, if things don't go well with that, then, you know, I gotta really start to get back into the keychains and the handmade and all that for now. To fund more prints. If I am stuck with the prints, I will sell them at a markdown price, like significantly marked down. I still want to be able to put them out there, but they will be like, they will be marked down as much as I can handle without going into a complete loss, which, you know, after shipping and everything like that might even happen, but it's still better than being wasteful, I guess. It's still better than having something sitting in my shop that will never see the light of day. And there could be a home out there that would care for it, that maybe there's somebody out there that would like it. I don't know. I don't know. I have to give it a chance. I have to give it a fair chance. And that's how I see things. Somebody out there might actually like, you know, enjoy it and think that it's nice. Anyways, you know, looking past its flaws. Might resonate with somebody anyway, you know? I mean, I used to, for my Etsy, I would have these quality control packs. That ended up being a great thing that worked out nicely for my shop. It was good. It was a thing that worked out nicely for my shop. I feel terrible getting rid of and just throwing things away, especially when I think somebody else might find a greater use for them. And so I would make these quality control packs of things that were kind of like failed experiments or you know, keychains and things that I never finished because I felt that something went wrong in the process. And so I make it extremely clear what is wrong with them, and I offered them for free just shipping. Shipping only, just cover shipping, I'll send it to you. And people bought them all within a day. And I did that twice. They sell it really fast. And my recommendation for things like that is just to use them for your own projects, for your own crafts, you know? Just, you know, experiment with it. It's nice and it's easy and it's really cheap. It's just something that's, you know, cheap that you can just grab up and it'll be there quick, and You know exactly what's wrong with it, and you might be able to turn it around, turn it into something for yourself, or, you know, do whatever you want with it. Doesn't matter. You turn it into a new creation and choose to sell that. Fine by me, even if it's featuring my art. If you're buying a quality control pack and you make something out of it with your own hands and you choose to sell it, just that thing, that's totally cool. Of course, I'm not condoning like art theft or anything like that. Like don't download pictures and sell them as yours, but like, you know what I mean? You make something with your own hands, you get something from the artist secondhand, and they permit it. That's totally chill. Totally. I've had problems with print companies before, and like one of the things that I really remember a long time ago, a company that I do actually do business with, like again, like now, even though I like stopped for like a few years, but I came back eventually. They sent me a batch of lanyards that was printed all completely wrong. Like they didn't follow any of the directions and anything. It's like they just didn't even like read what to do with the print file. It was perfectly made so that they could just use it on repeat along the lanyard, and something happened along the lines. They made a completely hideous thing out of it. I thought it was anyways. I mean, it was just the pattern, but instead of repeating seamlessly the way that I had intended, they had it set so that there was a massive, just empty gap in between all of the designs that were supposed to be running in together. It was a pattern, it's a design that repeats. But they added these big gaps in between the pattern. And I was just like, my word, I can't do anything with this. So I contacted them and they said, whoops, sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. So I'm just like, oh, okay. Yes, I do give up that easily, if you're wondering. It was something that, you know, I learned my lesson. I started actually providing images of what I want it to look like my own proofs. It's so silly. I mean, that's probably the most foolproof method. If you have gotten a print before and it turned out great, get pictures. Get pictures of that, because if you order it again, there's the possibility there that it's extremely possible that you will get a different version of your print and it will turn out not the way that you intended. And it's so weird because before it turned out great. So like, why is it different this time? You know, different people are looking it over, different people are using different equipment in different facilities, so you just never know what to expect. Yeah. And so, yeah, I learned my lesson, because just because they've done it right once does not mean do it right again. Even if you provide the same file, same instructions, you're probably not going to get the exact same thing, unfortunately. Yeah, so that's just what happens. That's just what happens. I kind of want to have like a nice pink sky. Make it nice and just a nice soft magenta. I don't want it to be red. I want it to be a nice soft light magenta. That's magenta, some white, That's kind of the color I think I want to go with over here. Yeah, let's just kind of blend that in over here. Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get, really. Let's say gamble. Just throw. And it's kind of exciting because, like, when it actually does turn out great, though, it's like it's such a good feeling. It's a really good feeling. Yeah. It is true. It is quite a nice feeling when it happens, but it won't always happen. So don't get your hopes up. Yeah. So, anyways. Yeah, when I got that batch, though, of the crazy lanyards, guess what I did with them? Just guess. I gave them to Goodwill. So there's like 200 lanyards they're just floating around out there, you know, in the world. I gave them to a Goodwill near my first apartment ever. Yeah, my first apartment ever. I probably won't share that information just because, you know, you never know what can get back to you, what things can happen, what people might, you know, scour records of the police or whatever, just in case, you never know, thinking for the future, you know? But I will say that it was in Glendale, Arizona, and it was right near my apartment, and it was, yeah, it was just a place I donated them to, so who knows what has happened to these lovely lanyards, the ones that are rejects. I initially got them, as inventory for, well, no, actually those ones weren't the inventory for the show. I bought them because there was a New York, like an event that was going to be held, like kind of like a Comic-Con, I guess. And someone who was running a little booth there with a team of people came across my lanyard design and asked about ordering in bulk. And so I was like, sure, just give me enough time in advance. How many do you need? What are you looking at? Like, and so, you know, I don't make people pay, like, unless I know it can get to them. And so, like, you know, and I'm glad that they didn't pay, because I was concerned something like this might happen, and it sure did. I got those prints in, I got those lanyards that they wanted, and oh so disappointing it was. It's pretty disappointing when they all came out looking weird. Just not even close to what I normally get. So, yeah, so I had gotten those initially for a New York Comic-Con, I believe it was. It was a very long time ago. This was in the year, like, I want to say it was 2016. So it was a bit of time ago. This is not something that happened in any kind of recent times. It has been quite a bit of time since the incident. It sounds so ominous. Yeah. But anyways. Anywho. you're all having a really good day, night, or whatever it is for you. Whether you are viewing Twitch or from YouTube, that could be too. It sure seems like some people are watching my YouTube. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. We're gonna work on this really pretty painting. It's a really pretty sky. I just want to make a really nice sunset, and you know what we're gonna do with the sunset? We're gonna make it a day-night painting just like Glimmering Seabed. I really enjoyed making Glimmering Seabed what it was. It was really, really fun to do the black light and the dual colors, and which is super exciting. So I'm gonna do something just like that. And we're going to have an Aurora Borealis night version. Gosh, I love color. I have quite the relationship with color. I do love color. Yes, I do. I need more magenta. Color is just one of my favorite things. Favorite thing to work with. Oh yeah. I'm gonna put that magenta over there on the side because I don't want to kind of squeeze this this bottle in the middle of all the wet paints and everything like that. Kind of sucks when all the paints touch together when they're not supposed to. Alright, so let's just kind of add some, I like using cyan, maybe a little bit of ultramarine, and quite a lot of this magenta over here. There we go. This is a nice violet. It's just really pretty, like this. It's a pretty violet, I would say. That's not quite magenta enough, though. Let's kind of step into the magenta realm. Make it a little bit more warm color. Warmer color. That's doing a bit better. You know, there's something that I've been kind of seeing amongst Twitch streamers, that the trend of not really, like, people seem not to really enjoy like tons of overlays and movements and too many things, like and too small a screen. And so I'm kind of looking at that kind of criticism, and I have no idea if that sort of thing really applies for an art stream like this, like a traditional art stream. Maybe I'm just too niche or something. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of a challenge to grow on Twitch, wouldn't you say? After you you get like a little over, once you meet affiliates, I would say that it's kind of challenging to grow on Twitch. People weren't lying about that. And so, you know, that's partly kind of why I wanted to squash the pre-roll ads, is because, you know, people who hop in, it might just make it a little bit easier. for people who want to hop in. Thanks, Moko. Hello. Hello, hello. I have a question, Binks Moko. Did you get a pre-roll ad? I'm hoping that it was disabled for you. I'm trying something new. Twitch has this feature where you can disable pre-roll ads by running ads for a set amount of time. And it's supposed to... Yeah, it's supposed to disable the pre-roll ads if you, like, run your commercials. How about you? And I'm just really trying to squash those pre-roll ads by, like, running breaks and commercials at the same time for a better experience for everybody. Yes, I did have to watch one just now. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've been seeing things once in a while online. There's so much mixed information, it's crazy. So pre-roll ads, that tells me something. Pre-roll ads can only be disabled for 30 minutes tops, I think, if you run an ad for a minute and a half then. Because I was looking around and I saw some things saying that basically you can get rid of pre-roll ads for an entire hour if you run 3 minutes of ads. But then I'm also seeing things that say that you can't do that, or that only certain people get selected to be able to do that. So there's just so much mixed information, and I'm just trying something new. And I don't like pre-roll ads. They're not fun to me. But thank you so much for being here and for your support. I'm just kind of painting some sunset colors right now. Some really fun sunset picture colors. Sunset. Oh, very nice. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. Thank you for letting me know. I said I'm just trying to learn how to do this stuff. Because usually I just let Twitch do its thing, and then it just does pre-roll ads no matter what, which sucks. No problem. Thank you. Thank you. I just can't tell without actually being a viewer. So that kind of sucks. Yeah. Keto was wanting to help me with that and everything like that. Yeah, alright, so then I have to adjust my timers then. It would only make sense. Also, I just found out and listened to the first bit of Formula for Disorder. He sounds so good and professional. Oh my gosh, you went to go look at my husbando's, his podcast. He used to have a podcast that was Keeping It Keto. That was his first one, and then he kind of abandoned that because he's not really doing the ketogenic diet these days, because he finds that a more varied diet is good for the long term, and that keto is probably good for a pretty short term thing, but like, yeah, it just couldn't stick around, you know what I mean? Like, it was just not something that could be kept. It's a good short-term sort of thing. Seems to be. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, Berspero says hi. Hello, Berspero. Hi, brother. Oh, what's this? Spotify. Alright, Spotify. Let's check this out, our external link. If I can get this to work. Yes, a formula for disorder. Thank you for dropping the link. That is so kind of you. So that people who could be viewing from anywhere can see that. Yes. Yes, he, I made his little icon the FFD puzzle pieces. That's kind of what he had in mind, so he just kind of, he commissioned me and paid by watching the baby girl. Paid by watching the baby girl for me while I did it. Yeah, I needed a moment anyway. So yeah, so I went ahead and made his little icons. And yeah. Very fun. Yeah, that's the link for Formula for Disorder. FFD, baby. Yeah, he does well. He speaks well. And he really gets into it. So, yeah. Definitely. Definitely a good thing. He's really gonna be buckling down and working on that quite a bit more. He really gets into talking about things, and so I was recommending to him that he needs a creative outlet, is how I phrased it. He needs a creative outlet. And he thought about it, and I brought up his old podcast, and he went back and he saw that people had listened to the podcast, and he didn't think that people were going to listen to it, but people listened to it. And it showed him that there was potential. And I've been saying that all along. Of course. But I think that everybody needs a creative outlet. You know me, I'm a big advocate for being creative. So he finally started. And so that's great, right? Like, I think that's awesome. It's pretty awesome that he finally started the podcasting back up. I mean, he listens to a lot of podcasts. He's really got a good ear for it. He knows what good speaking is. He knows how to speak in a professional tone and to be able to kind of lead people. And so I just think that it's good that he's getting back into doing that because, yeah, he has a knack for it. It's good. He's got the ability. So thank you for giving that a listen. He's got such a great presence and his passion really comes through. I'm totally impressed. Great. Yes, I agree. His passion really shows. He really gets into it. I help him with the editing a little bit. So like I'll cut out like lots of in between like sounds and things like that. And yeah, so I mean I got to listen to it thoroughly and he does really well. I mean, you sit him in front of a mic and give him a topic and he goes, man. He's good at it and he's good at talking about stuff. He's good at making you really think and just kind of pausing at the right times and yeah, I would definitely say so. Yes, he does have a powerful presence. He's always got a powerful presence. Nothing he does in his daily life doesn't have a powerful presence. Like he's yeah, he talks with a passion pretty much with everything he talks about. It's good. It's good. Positive thing. He is currently sleeping for his day. Tomorrow he's gotta go to work, so he can't really stay up and chat with us, but you know, it's possible we might be able to do that tomorrow night. So on Saturday, that'll be our first time going to like an art fair together. We're going to go check out like a little art fair, and we're just kind of probably pop in and just see what it's kind of all about. We just want to scope out some art fairs, some local things, local shows and things like that. We're not like gonna be staying around. I mean, we might, but I think we've got plans for the rest of the day. So anyways, we're gonna be probably pretty. We're gonna be pretty like, you know, chill there for a little bit and then come back, but it's gonna be nice because we gotta scope out the place. We're really gonna buckle down. We actually got plans for this upcoming year. I've got plans. He's got plans. We all got plans. What I want to do is I want to be able to sell at some shows. I want to actually be able to participate in art events. And I've never done that before. But it's a dream of mine. It's something that I really want to do. I want to have my prints, and I want to be there, and I want to be able to be there in person and represent my art in person, and meet some really cool artists and meet some really cool other people who might want to support me, and to be able to be there in person, like face to face. It's a really big thing for me. I just want to be able to represent myself, represent my art face to face, you know? I think it would just be such a great thing to do that, because I just never really had the opportunity to do that before. It would just be awesome. So that is in the plans for 2022. It's in the list, the to-do list. We have lots of things that we want to do, and that was definitely one of those things. It'll be great. Yeah, I'll get to meet some artists that are there, and I kind of just want to scope out the place, maybe support some other people that we find, and hopefully, you know, make some connections with people who talk. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. You know, just my whole time working, like every job that I ever worked at, I'm working for somebody else, selling something that another company owns, something like Starbucks. You know, I might make a handcrafted beverage at Starbucks. But unfortunately, it's still a Starbucks brand. It's not my art that I'm actually selling. And so people would kindly like request me to make their beverages, and it was such a nice thing. That's awesome. When and where is that planned for? Sorry I missed the audio on that. No worries. I actually didn't say, but I'm willing to share that. Probably when Shane wakes up. He's the one that coordinated and planned the whole thing. So, so he found something that's local. And so if you guys want to drop by, that's probably cool, but I don't know how long we're going to be hanging around or anything like that. So, but yeah, I'll be willing to share that. Also, I can't really share that probably on the stream just yet. I'm not really sure if that's like something that I wanna share unless I'm there as a seller, if that makes sense. Perhaps. But yeah, I'll get back to you on that. I will. I just have no idea. We're also gonna make it kind of like a date day, because this will be the first day in a very long while where we'll have Yami watching our little daughter. We'll have a little bit of a parenting break, where we'll actually be able to have like a date together, and we'll be able to spend the evening, just maybe go out to eat and just go enjoy ourselves. As parents, it's been months. It's been months since we've had I don't even remember the last time we've had a nice date together. But we're going to have a nice married couple date. Be great. It'll be nice. I really look forward to it. Get this through. Alrighty, here we go. Let's go ahead and make this a little bit more violet. Just gonna go ahead and add some of that in there. A little bit of ultramarine. Yeah. Yeah, definitely not trying to shut anything down or anything like that. It just that'd be a little bit, yeah. But all I know is that it's pretty local. It's pretty local. I believe I know exactly where it's at, but I don't think I want to share everything right now. Not right now. Yes, anyways, it's gonna be so exciting. Yeah, our list of things to do in 2022 is it's getting kind of big. A list of things to do. One of the things is that I want to be able to sell at a show. I want to be able to have that set up. I want to be able to meet some really cool artists, and it'll be really, really great. I totally look forward to it. I'm a little bit intimidated and nervous, but I mean, who isn't their first time doing something like a show? You know what I mean, like an art show. I just want to be able to do that, like the cool cats. I want to be one of the cool cats. It'll be awesome. Totally awesome. Yes. All right. So it says that the hour is up. So I'm going to try something, you guys. I'm going to try to run the ad break again. But this time, I'm going to set it so that it's only like a minute and a half. And I'll put it on a break screen, but first, I need to make it so that the bot, my chat bot, can actually do that. So I do have to make some edits to the commands. Okay, the commands. Where would they be? Right, let's change this. We're gonna edit this. We're gonna go 20 minutes. 1.5. So I think I really have to think about this. Gotta set it up on my bot first. So I think if I set it like this, then maybe it'll work. Alright, I'm gonna go submit on that. Then I'm gonna go edit this too. We're gonna edit this. And then we're gonna go 90. Submit that. And then, alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and try something. And let's just see if it even works. To be completely honest, I have no idea what to expect. Yeah, it's gonna be, we'll find out. All right, you guys, I guess it's time for a break and we'll see what happens here. I'm trying to disable pre-roll ads, so we're gonna go ahead and give this a test run. It should only work for 30 minutes. Unfortunately, Twitch does not allow you to do it longer. We checked. So yeah, let's go ahead and try this. See you guys soon. I'll see you in 5 minutes. Hello? Wow. That was weird. Wow, technical difficulties even? Man, that's stupid. Hello. Hello. I am back, I guess. I've been talking this whole time to nobody. Well, I mean, I've been talking to you, but my gosh. I've been talking to you and I've been talking to everybody, but I just can't be heard. Wow. Well, thank you so much for letting me know about that. That was weird and random. I didn't realize that my mic had randomly stopped. It's kind of weird. I'm not really sure if it had something to do with a connection or something, and then when I unplugged it, my music stopped, and I didn't stop my music, so like, I think it's my computer acting janky. I could be wrong, but I have no idea. Thank you so much. That was so funny. The whole time I was just kind of rambling about the Twitch ad debacle. You see, I was just ranting and rambling. The Twitch ads are kind of out of control. Like, I really wish that I could just disable ads entirely. But they don't let you do that if you're affiliate. Now, you cannot accept the affiliate program, but like pre-roll ads are gonna be there unless you run ads yourself. But it seems like the amount of ads and like the excessive amount of ads that you have to run and the frequent breaks makes it kind of like not appealing. You know what I mean? It's not it's not appealing. I don't know. Maybe that's just my own opinion, but it just doesn't seem like something. Just doesn't seem like something I would want to do. You know what I mean? That was so strange. I wonder why the mic stopped. But anyways, thank you so much for letting me know about that. That was like super random. That happened. I didn't even touch the mic. I didn't touch the cord. I didn't touch the audio settings. It just kind of done did that all on itself. So, you know, you gotta love technical difficulties. They just are there to haunt you. That's just how it is, I guess. Yeah. How silly. How super silly. And wild it is. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of running the ads, and I'm not really sure that it's really gonna be a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna pan out. I don't know if it's gonna end up being worth it. So, what they basically have is that it's a minute and a half of ads for every half an hour. But the thing is I don't want to put it on a break screen for every half an hour. That's nuts. That's crazy. And I hate pre-roll ads. I just don't like them, you know? Is it such a crime? Oh, also, I have jury duty really early, so I'm gonna head to bed. Oh no! Grown-up nonsense. No, not jury duty. That sucks. That sucks. Nobody wants to be there. Well, I'm so sorry to hear about that. Wow, yeah. Get some rest. Thank you so much for tuning in, even though you knew that you had to wake up early and go do all of that nonsense. I appreciate you. I always do. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out. I hope you have an awesome night, get some rest, and hopefully the remainder of your day is a lot better than jury duty. Catch you later. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah. Well, this is pretty chill music. Great music to not have any mic to, right? So glad that cleared up a bit. That was kind of some serious nonsense. But I don't say so myself. Wow, I used up all that magenta already. Wow. Craziness. My pleasure. Have a good night. You have an amazing night as well, Bink Smoko. Super swell. Oh my gosh, technical difficulties again. At least I can see this. At least I can see this one. What is going on with my computer? Why is it acting so crazy tonight? Alright, we're gonna try this now. Haha. Sleepy Pikachu. Aww. Yes. Just like Robin's Sleepy Pikachu. She's so cute. Alright, yeah. Let's see what's going on here. It says that it just randomly disconnected. That's so weird. It's a problem with the GoPro, I think. Let's try and reconnect it. Alright. Control the GoPro, please. Please control the GoPro. We'll see what happens. Yep, at least I've got a little screen that'll tell you that there's a problem with the cam connecting because, my gosh, so many problems. I can't wait to do away with this GoPro. GoPro has been nothing but trouble. I mean, who honestly uses these things and does not have problems? Because I mean, the technical issues that come with these things, it's so bad. There's so much. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of insane. Could even have to do with the SD card being full. Not really sure. Alright, looks like our cam is reconnected. Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Yes, we are reconnected. Okay. Also, it's actually easier for me to reconnect with the new method that I set up. So at least we have that going for us, I guess. And you can also see when there's going to be problems. It's quite the debacle, if I don't say so myself. Okay, back to painting. Back to the lovely painting that I've been working on. Yes, alright. So I am working on that little sunset sky, trying to blend some color, and I think that maybe we should start working on some clouds, perhaps. I'm not really sure, but I guess we'll see. We'll have to see what that's gonna be like. Yes. But we've got some paint on a palette, and you can see the big mess of colors that I'm working with. So that's at least fun, right? Okay, so that's doesn't have enough magenta in it. We need a little bit more magenta and just a dab of white in there. Alright. It's still pretty pretty salmon pink, I guess. Looks slightly mildly orange. I think that's the color that I want to fill this though. So we're gonna kind of right up along the edge over here. And my goodness, disabling pre-roll ads is just, it's what I want. It's totally what I want. Unfortunately, it seems to be the case that I mean, I have to run ads manually, but frequently. And that kind of sucks. I mean, it would be great if it could all just be in one single block. And I just, like, I don't care if people tune out or use an ad block. Like, I just don't care about, like, ad revenue. I don't even want that. If it's gonna be any ad on my channel, they might as well be my own, just like this one. I sell pins. These are my own design. That is Heart of a Dragon enamel lapel pin. And I put my heart and soul into that. And I really only have kind of a limited supply of that kind. Once that design runs out, it will have to be modified. So the ones that are left in my shop, the quantity that's left there is the quantity that is left, period. But I do hope to make more enamel pin designs in the future. I would actually really, really love to do that. Yeah. So if you like dragons, if you enjoy wearing dragony things, and if you like stained glass aesthetic, because that's what I was going for with that, if you could tell, well then, I would say that's for you. I like to wear mine around on my hat. I like to collect some pretty nerdy little pins on my hat. I have Pokemon pins. I even have one that my brother, Prospero, got for me ages ago at some kind of event that he was at. And it's got one of those little fuzzies on it from Yoshi's Island. And it's like that level in Yoshi's Island that is touch fuzzy, get dizzy. So Yoshi, he touches these fuzzies that are floating in the air. And when he touches them, he starts actually getting like super dizzy and stumbling around. And so the whole screen changes. The whole screen just like, it gets wobbly. There's like a filter that goes over it. And it's like really hard to see anything properly, and also he teeters back and forth uncontrollably. Like you can't really control him all too well because he just continues to teeter and teeter and teeter. So it's super funny because you play as Yoshi, you touch these fuzzies, he gets dizzy, you play as that. Anyways, I have a pin from my brother of one of those fuzzies. It's super cute. It's just one of those little button pins. It's not a lapel pin or anything like that. It's just a button. And then I also have some Pokemon pins. You know, the ones that they sell in like the card packs. They sell them. These pretty lapel pins. They're hard enamel pins. They look fantastic. They look beautiful. And I have a Dragonite on my hat, and I have a Mega Rayquaza that's a shiny one, so it's black instead of green, which is super cool. It looks so awesome. And I have it on my Mega Charizard X hat. It's like my favorite hat ever. It's really cool. I used to have a favorite hat that wasn't that. And that's actually a pretty new hat for me. I got that for myself last year over the holiday season as a gift to myself. You know how you have to get a gift for yourself sometimes no, just me, every holiday. I mean, just me. Nobody else can do that? Just kidding. I know most people buy gifts for themselves once in a while. Anywho, I purchased this lovely hat for myself over the holiday season of 2020, and it's cool. It's really cool. I got it on Amazon. It's just a Mega Charizard X on the hat, and it looks pretty awesome. It's just his face. I thought it would be a really cool hat. boy, it is. You know, I will say blue is not my favorite color. The hat's blue, but it looks awesome. It looks really great. Here, let's make this nice, bright color. We'll definitely need a lot more white. Let's put it down here. It's gotta be nice and bright. Bright like the sun. I think tomorrow night I'll probably be feeling it a little bit more. I'm a little frazzled tonight. I'm indeed frazzled. Which kind of sucks, but what are you gonna do? That looks like it's gonna be a little bit too bright, perhaps. I'm painting the camera right now. The actual camera itself. Yes. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a little bit of vermilion in that. I'm starting to kind of think that if I just connect this, it'll give me a good outline as to where I want this color to end. And I also have kind of like this sticky fleck of paint right there. That I just don't want there. Okay. Super. Alright. Okay. You never know what kind of technical difficulties will strike. Yes. You never know. You have no idea. Boy, it's been a pretty quiet stream. I'm pretty okay with this. I could use a little bit of a break, I suppose. You know, it would be nice though. I'm gonna grab this camera real quick. I'm gonna move my chat because otherwise I'm gonna douse it in water. Alright. Let's do this. Yeah. Okay. Let's try and move that camera a little bit back in focus. There we go. Just a little bit more centered. Nice. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we're just gonna kind of like get our quick brush movements once again. We're gonna start moving things around a little bit quicker than before because oh my gosh, that was moving so slowly. 80. Perfect. Perfection. Oh, that's blending so much better. I'm so glad I invested in something as simple and cheap as a spray bottle because, get this, I've been going such a long time without a spray bottle, without the necessity for like, I don't think things through, I guess. it's kind of, yeah. I tend not to spend my money on necessities. I tend to spend it on some pretty wacky stuff before I go for the real basic stuff. It's kind of bad. It's a problem of mine. It's an issue. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Very nice, very nice. We get this nice, dark, bluish violets color. Come over here with that. Get those corners. Them corners figured out. I want to get this one a little bit bigger. And in order to do that, I have to spray the canvas. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm getting around it. I avoid doing that. But oh my gosh, it's necessary. With WIP and bubbling. Don't be like me, trying to get around doing things that you gotta do. You know? It's just not a good trait. Yeah, there we are. You can really see that gradient a little bit better now. So I want to mix up a little bit more paint over here. We're going to make another violet. Throw in some ultramarine. To make it a little bit more saturated, I suppose. I'm not sure if I want to use a bigger brush for this. It's very quite possible. It is quite possible that I might want to do that. I have no idea. I do want this to gradient out quite a bit more though. And my paints are drying super fast. They are fighting me on this. They are fighting me so much. Well, we'll show them. We'll spray them all down like a crazy person. Spray them real good. No clumps of paint allowed. Get rid of that. Wait. It just blends easier when it's sprayed down. I don't know what else to say besides I just avoid things that need to happen. And it's silly. It's quite silly. It's silly of me to do. There's a lot of coverage that needs to happen on this canvas because it's one of my large canvases, one of my really, really big canvases that is just gonna be a lot more work. But we have until the middle of March to finish this painting up. And then we can do a small painting after that. We can do a nice spring painting. Maybe small, or maybe kind of just one of those like long canvases that I have, just like I did with Guardian of the Sword. It was one of those long canvases. Alright. And I think if I kind of like leave this in, I do need kind of like a light violet. Means I need more white paint. Go. Cool. Isn't it much better to see everything that's going on with the mixing of the paints? Now I don't feel like I have to hurry with mixing the paints. I can just mix them as I go. It's really not any kind of issue with it. It's just, it's part of painting, you know, and I don't have to worry about hustling and bustling, being quick on my toes about mixing my paints, my colors, because you can see everything that's going on there, too. You know, it's been a little over a year since I started streaming my painting process, and I am still nervous every time I hit go live. It's still nerve-wracking, still super nerve-wracking. Maybe that sounds silly to some people. I don't get as nervous as I did when I first started streaming, but it's still pretty nerve-wracking. Still pretty up there. Still quite a dark color, so I think we're going to go ahead and add some white to that, and some magenta as well. Just want to keep layering in the magenta. I want it to be a nice, warm violet, but also really, really bright. Here we go. Oh, alright. I can't believe that it's already almost 12. It's a pretty quiet night. Sometimes you just gotta have a quiet night. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the best way to unwind the day. I was thinking about taking my travel easel, not this easel, my travel easel, to the park at some point. It would be nice to get a break from momming. I don't see that coming anytime in the near future, but it very well might happen. My daughter is school age, so that would be pretty awesome if that would happen. Bridging the gap. Just making our gradients here. There's just so much canvas to cover. It's just hard to get that perfect gradient in that arch. Especially when I have to reach over the camera. It's a bit of a circus. Sure is. Now let me think. I kind of want to layer in like a nice magenta with yellow. We are using a lot of our magenta. It's a pretty important color here. Say. Some yellow to that. I want that nice bright color again. We're just going to use that same color. We're just going to go over this. Nice and smoothly. Nice and smooth. Just kind of work out all of the little spaces where the canvas is poking through, because it is poking through. You might not be able to see it on that camera there, but this, it is showing. It's exposed in this cover, this multi-canvas up. What am I saying? I'm completely nuts. Alright. Really nice, soft gradients down here. Just kind of staining the canvas with color. Not really painting it on thick or anything like that. Just kind of using what's left over on the brush and just kind of staining. It's pretty much dry. Everything's pretty much dry. Yeah. So let's see here. If I can get this light, just paint that in like right there. Kind of have like our colors over here. Kind of have like a, I feel like we kind of need to soften this gradient a little bit. This one, perhaps I need to kind of this. Oh, goodness. I don't know how it came up looking kind of brown like that. That's a little bit weird. Let me think. Let's just go ahead and get kind of like a pale. How do we match this? We want to use some vermilion. Not that much though. I definitely botched it already. We're going to use a little bit of yellow, a bit of magenta, probably all that magenta, honestly probably more, it's all good. Alright, so let's think. I want that to be more magenta. Really gotta layer on that magenta. You gotta get a little more creative with it. I gotta buy another bottle of this stuff that's coming in handy. And we're gonna do just a little bit of sand. Just a touch of that. Oh, hello! Leo, what's up? Hi! Hello and welcome. Thanks so much for being here. How are you doing this evening? I'm currently working on a dragon painting. This is kind of like the underpainting right now. I'm just working on the background. A little bit of the background, a little bit of the sunsets. Just trying to get like the underpainting. Just trying to get these this gradient looking right. That's pretty much what I'm working on right now. Ooh, I'm hitting the camera. Oops. There we go. It's a pretty chill evening for me. Pretty chill. But thanks so much for being here. Very much appreciate your company, and just kind of going really soft with the brush right now. Now tell me, are you a fan of dragons? I'm a little bit of a dragon nerd, so that's what I do. I paint dragons. Kind of what I've come to find my niche in. Just painting dragons. And my channel is strictly painting dragons. Yep. I don't do any kind of video game streams or anything like that. This is it. This is what we do. It's a nice relaxing time too, and just kind of enjoying the process of painting. Now I think I want to reorient or kind of change the position lighting setup here. That gives us a better view, I think, on the main cam. Yeah. You can kind of see the sides a little bit better there. Just moving that lighting setup around. I think that the sky gradient is probably pretty okay. Just gonna kind of get this this warmth, this warm color over here. Let's bring it up a little bit. This weekend is going to be my first weekend visiting a local art show, and I'm super stoked and excited about it. And I I think that's going to be really fun. Indeed. Yeah, that is what I think. So I'm also thinking, take some of this cyan, take some of that magenta, and we can bring some of this up along the ice, because ice is reflective. So it's just gonna kind of look like that. It's gonna be kind of a little bit violet, just like the sky. I'm not using reference, I'm using my imagination, so this really may or may not look kind of believable, but I'm really hoping that it ends up looking pretty alright. Here we go. Right now I'm just kind of staining the canvas with a dry brush. Just pulling up the color. It's already just kind of sitting on the brush. Dry as a bone. Yeah, here we go. Just pushing it into the canvas and just moving it along. Nice and fast. Yeah, there we go. Moving on. Well, you can get a little bit of texture by getting some unique brush strokes in here, changing the shape of the brush stroke. And then pulling it upward. Yes, yes. There we go. And we just blend it nice and smooth. Using that dry brush technique, it's really fun. Yeah, alrighty. So now I'm thinking if we go kind of generous on the yellow, I think it would look pretty good. Just a nice warm glow right here. Yep. There we go. Alright, a warm glow behind an icy, cold dragon. I'm not sure if I want to keep it that way. I am really not entirely positive if that's the way that I want to keep it. Yeah, who knows? It's hard to say. Right. it's kind of like really warm looking background. It might be something that I want to change a little bit in the future. Hard to say though. Not really sure. I do want to add clouds. Nice clouds along the sky over there. Now let's see. I think I kind of want to add a little bit of yellow in some of the ice. Just a little bit of yellow, like almost like some of that sun glow is getting. Just a tiny bit. But not a ton. Just some. Then some little spots. Yeah. Alrighty. So we kind of have like this frozen lake here. Okay. Now I'm thinking we can probably start working on the trees a little bit more. And we'll see. See what we can do with these trees. I actually do need to look at some reference photos though of some snow-covered pines, evergreens, alpine, snow-covered. Let's see what they look like. It sounds crazy that I need reference for something like that, but mind you, I live in the middle of a desert where it never snows. So, I mean, I've seen snow, of course, but I have to travel to get to snow. And, yeah, it's not ideal. So, let's go ahead and search what a snow-covered tree looks like. Ooh, what a crazy thing. What a crazy thing I gotta do. Alright, let's search. Snow covered pine tree. Snow covered pine trees. And I'll search some really pretty images. Oh wow. Wow, okay, so I'm actually kind of really seeing something here. Yes, I am. Okay. Let's take a look at some of these images. I think I know what to do. I think that I know what to do. I think I may or may not need a fan brush for this. So let's go ahead and perhaps grab a fan brush. I guess I don't really have a fan brush available. Not right now. I must have them in my little cleaning section. Far and away somewhere. Somewhere. And something kind of rough. A cat tongue brush, a different cat tongue brush will do just fine. I think I can handle it with something like that, or even maybe a flat brush like this. Or I actually see something that might be a little bit better. We'll just try this, I guess. Should I handle this? It's kind of a difficult thing for me. I think I'm going to go ahead and use a fan brush, but I don't currently have one in my workshop, so I'm thinking that I shall be right back and pick one up. Yes. Alright, you guys, I'm going to take another quick break. This time I'm not going to run an ad. I'm going to tired of running ads, and I think that it's kind of not good for the channel anyways. I'm really experimenting with doing that, but I just don't know. I'm so torn on it. Alright, you guys, I will be right back. Enjoy this time lapse of me painting glimmering sea bat. officially back. Let's go ahead and get our music started back up. Alright. Here we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and start adding some little bits of snow-covered branches. I mean, I'm really not sure. I mean, I've never really painted trees like this before, so for it to be like, it's just not gonna be something I'm familiar with, unfortunately. It's just gonna be that way. This is gonna be awkward, the whole thing, I feel. I mean, see, I really don't quite know exactly what I do. To be completely honest, I'm kind of winging it, man. I'm really winging it. Just kind of pepper in some snow over here. I'm kind of wondering if I should layer it from top to bottom. Bottom, top. Can't say I've really watched the pros do it. So it's all just a guess for me. Learning as we go. So let's go ahead, maybe start bottom to top. We might have better luck doing that. Things a little bit. You know, amateurish. That's the word I'm looking for. Amateur job. It's okay. I will learn this. I'm determined. Everything's a struggle, man. Just like the mountains were in the Twilight Dragon painting. But I figured it out. I crushed it. It took me a while. It took me time. But I figured it out. And I did the thing. It was hard. But I learned. And that's really important. The learning part is the really important thing. Just gotta learn. Just gotta try. I'm totally winging it. I don't know how to do this. So please bear with me. So I'm kind of tilting the angles and not swooping it really anymore. So maybe I'll have better luck if I just continue to do it that way. We'll find out. Right. starting to look like something. Maybe not quite what I'm trying to make it look like, but we're working on it. Making some kind of progress of some sort. I'll put my weight all the way up here. I'm just gonna bring it down and scatter it on my brush. Just go for it. Yeah, and then we're just gonna continue to do this like tilting thing. Just hope for the best, I guess. Paintings now? Never done it before. Never done it. Never painted snow. Never painted snowy trees. I am learning as I practice. And boy, it doesn't look like trees at all to me. That's okay. We'll continue working on this and we'll figure it out as we go. Landscape painters sure make it look easy. It ain't something I'm used to. Plus, I just don't see the landscape ever. I don't see it enough to know really what I'm doing. I think what I'm going to do is go over this a little bit with a cat tongue brush. Yeah. It's probably, oh my gosh, it's Space Daddy Gangsta. Hello. Hello, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I am currently fumbling with trees and trying to figure out how the heck does Bob Ross do it? How does he do it? If only I had followed one of his tutorials. I just got home from the movies and wanted to drop by and say hello. 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 Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. It's been a pretty quiet stream, super quiet. I mean, eerily quiet, truly. And, you know, it's probably for the best, too, because I don't know what the heck I'm doing with these trees. It's crazy. It's wacky looking. And for the sky, I might actually want to make it a little bit more blue than that. But, yes. Thank you so much for being here. hope that you had a good time at the movies. What movie did you go see? You excited to talk about it? Sure hope so. As I talked people's ears off until there was nothing left to talk about. Just as I usually do. And, yeah. So now, I feel kind of quiet, almost like I talked myself out. You went and saw Spider-Man. So everyone's been talking about Spider-Man lately. I'm living under a rock. Did a new Spider-Man movie come out? Really? A new Spider-Man? A new Spidey? A new Spidey Whitey? And how was it? How was the movie? Did it do well? Was it a good one? People really have been talking a lot about Spider-Man. It's gotta be why. Got to be why. I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. Oh. Ooh. Oh. Well, that's kind of sad. That kind of sucks a little bit. What do you think that they did wrong? And what do you think they could have done better? They have done better. Space Daddy, connoisseur of the movies, of the cinema. It was cool, but it kind of dragged on a bit. Oh man, I think for what went on in the movie, it was way too long. There was a lot of dead space in between important scenes. Oof. Man. It's gotta be really tricky just getting that formula just right. You know what I mean? It's gotta be really tricky. If I had to make any guesses, it's probably... I mean, they should have that stuff down pat. I mean, it's the movies. The big screen. The silver screen. You know? Just seems like something that they probably should have down pat. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I just have too high expectations. I sort of want to make the salmon pink in that sky with quite a bit more blue. To be completely honest with you, I kind of want it to go straight to blue. Something like maybe a pale. I gotta figure out what to do with the gradient there. I might want to use a big brush to get the blending done fast so that I can... We got big guns right here. We're going to dip this in some water. I'm gonna go ahead and this brush ready to rock, ready to move. I really want to do something with that sky there. Just something about it just don't look right. Something about it doesn't look right. I'm going to figure it out. What do you think? Perhaps it's too much warmth. I'm just gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna introduce really blue there. Some blue. We'll go kind of wild with that. We're just gonna we're really gonna try to introduce some blue in this because this has too much magenta. After all of that, I am a nut job, but I need to make changes. Let's see. Everyone is saying it's the best Marvel movie, but like, I didn't see what the big deal was about after watching it. Oh, well that kind of sucks. But at least now you know, and at least you've got your, you've got your insight, and you have your opinions about it. You know? Now you know. And now you know. But I'm sorry that the movie experience wasn't quite what you wanted, what you had hoped for, and what you expected, and what you imagined. Because I hate when that happens. It does kind of suck. It's really not the most fun thing in the world to have the kind of expectations that people have set, and then you go in there, and then it's just not that at all. Like, that does kind of blow. It does. Wedging this blue into the sky in between that violet and oh, technical difficulties again. The camera is always disconnecting, isn't it? Alright, that's okay, we're gonna get it fixed. Don't you worry. Let's go ahead and close this GoPro thing. And then we're gonna go ahead and try to reconnect it. It seems like for some odd reason, it just randomly disconnects. And it's a problem with my camera itself. It's just super unusual that it just kind of blip, like it just stops. For no apparent reason. Alright, we're gonna get reconnected really quick. Don't worry. We will get reconnected. RTMP. Let's get this rolling. Yes. 480. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Go live. And boom. There it goes. It should work now. We should be all set as soon as I switch it over to. Bam! There we go. Perfect. Yes, behave, camera. Camera's a meanie head. Mean old camera. Yay! Woo, we're back. Yes. Nice and quick. All right. I did. So we brought in at 12. Oh, wait. Hold on. Let me backtrack just a tiny bit here. Love Dead Space, from saying it's best movie. The super nice thing was 4 of us went, and there was maybe 5 other people in the theater. Ooh. So we brought in a 12-pack and some airplane shots and got super tipsy during the movie. Nice. Yes, the technical difficulties screen, I added that as a feature because I tend to have a lot of technical difficulties with this dumb camera. And can't really recommend GoPro as a camera brand these days because holy crap, most of the time it sucks. But anyways, beside all that, I thought it would be a great idea to implement a nice little technical difficulty screen because it happens just so much. And I gotta be ready for that stuff, Just gotta be ready for it, because it happens. Bitrate is super off with it for some reason. Is it? Let me check. How's it going? It might not be perfect because I am streaming 2 cams right now. I do have 2 cams going into my... Yeah, there we go. No, not your bit. Oh, the GoPro in general. Oh, yes. The GoPro has a lot of problems, and it just disconnects often. It's just kind of got some issues, got some problems, and GoPro, the customer service is not good either. They're not nice. Let me put it that way. They're not a nice company to go to with problems. They won't treat their customers nicely. They're not the nicest company in the whole wide web. So when you got a problem with their stuff, just remember, can it, or they're coming after you. They'll get ya. I really thought that I was having problems for a moment there. I wouldn't even be surprised, because let me tell you, earlier, randomly, after my break screen, the mic disconnects. And this is like, what, the second or third time since the camera, this streaming session has disconnected, so it's kind of wacky. Alright, we're gonna do a nice... There we go. Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, this big brush is doing me wonders. It feels nice. It feels so nice in my hand. Let me just attack this canvas. Just going for it. Just gonna go kind of crazy over here. There we go. Feels nice to paint. They'll get you. That's right. They will. They'll hunt you down. They will. Remember, never say anything bad about GoPro, or you might not wake up in the morning. I'm taking big risks tonight talking about this, you know. Just for the sake of the people who are interested in getting a GoPro, you know. Because I love you guys. The people who support and watch my streams and my VODs on my VOD channel. So like my latest VOD that I uploaded to YouTube, kind of wacky. It got like kind of a decent amount of views. Considering it's a VOD, I to be completely honest, was not expecting anything of the sort. And just kind of realized, you know, that it's last I checked, it was like sitting at like 55 or something views. I'm like, why? It's a VOD, but I think that's super awesome if people are like, you know, listening to it in the background or something like that. It's just nice. It's nice to think about, like, who really pays attention to that sort of thing, but I just think it's nice. It probably honestly auto-played because I used a listenable tag, but still, I'm very happy about it. Super happy about it. I feel the listenable tag is probably a nice positive thing, a good thing for a painting stream. We're just kind of vibing to the music a little bit. Alright, so now when I get a little bit closer to this area, I gotta try something out. I got to. Alrighty. Just gonna do kind of like wacky with all the brush strokes. Just gonna go crazy. We're doing some canvas coverage tonight, so we're still like, I'm kind of doing this like half underpainting, half just kind of whatever sort of thing. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm not really following my normal thing that I usually do with my super gray underpainting. I kind of like painted a pretty mute palette, but I wouldn't say it was a grayscale one underneath. I'm thinking, kind of rethinking that that plan that I had. might want to reconsider. So it's gonna look kind of like pale and gray-ish. It's gonna look kind of. Now, see, something about that looks a little bit greenish, and I'm not really sure that I like that very much. So, let me figure out what to do there. I want to do something where I get some white paint. Let's just see what we can do with this. White paint. And then let us see. What shall we do? Well, I'm so sorry that Spider-Man didn't turn out to be the greatest movie that everybody was hyping up. Saturday, I'm going to my first little art fair, but mind you, I'm going as a guest there. I'll be walking around. I'm not going to be selling or anything like that there, but the goal is to learn while I'm there so that I can be selling myself. Because that is something that I want in my life. I really, really like that. Okay. Let's add a little bit of yellow. I need more full body yellow. I need more yellow. I need more of this. Okay. Cool. This is an expensive tube of yellow. It's my smallest tube and it's one of my most expensive tubes. Because for some reason, full body yellow paint is just expensive. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But it is. Okay, so let's go ahead. It's pale, white, pale, like, I guess, some kind of like blue thing. I don't know what I'm doing, but yeah, I'm going to kind of go over some of this stuff so that we don't have to. That we don't have to have like a really super warm background, like completely warm the whole way, because it was and it just doesn't quite work. But I do like to have a lot of color, very rich in color. And the color transition should be up like a smooth gradient, so it's just gonna be kind of a challenge getting that exactly right. That's the only thing. It's just gonna be a challenge to do. Perhaps I know how to do it. Perhaps I know what to do. I use a really, really light magenta. Super light. I mean a very light magenta. Probably put it right there. Yes. And we can blend it straight into this. Ooh, I went right over his spike. That's okay. We know where it's at. This is the way to do it for sure. It has to be. I'm really not using any reference, so I'm just like winging it. I'm just figuring it out all on my own, like a crazy person who's super duper bold. I looked at snowy trees, but that's about it. That's about it. Get a little bit too bold over here. Little bit too bold. So unfortunately, the prints that I got today were no good. Sucks that it's gotta be that way, but that's just how it is, man. What are you gonna do? Yeah. Whoa. Yo, it's the social links. Space Daddy Gangsta, you're the one who recommended the beacons. I've kind of been spreading that around too, trying to get people to join beacons so that other people can enjoy the coolness of beacons, because it is pretty chill. It's pretty cool. So let's try and bring this down here. We want the sky to be like, it can't be that saturated. That's the problem. It can't be that warm and that saturated. It just can't be. So we're bringing the magenta, pale magenta, down toward the sun. I'm just gonna kind of mix up some of that magenta right there. Very good. Here we go. And just way to redo the sky like 3 times. Okay, so the first time was kind of more like an underpainting sort of thing, so I guess technically redo the sky once, but you know, I'm learning. Ain't never made some kind of winter sunset before, so you know, what are you gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and with this add a little bit of vermilion. Okay. There. That is going to blend so much better. The thing is you can't let blue and orange meet. You can't let them touch. Not for a colorful sky like this, because if you do that, you're gonna end up with this weird brown color, and the sky just doesn't have rich brown colors. You can't do that. Yeah, I mean, you can do that in clouds. You can absolutely put brown in clouds, which sounds absolutely wacky, but it's just the way that the clouds are lit. We just can't. It's a color theory thing. It's what you do, just how you treat colors. Because if you put 2 complementary colors, which are opposites, together, they're going to turn into an earth tone, and an earth tone or skin tone. An earth tone or skin tone is a natural color that's usually kind of like browns, yellows, reds, oranges. Some colors are going to be saturated and some are not, but it's going to be a mix of all of the primary colors together. You can't do that with the sky. Just something. It's just you do that with the earth. You do that with the clouds. With the way that it can cast light, or it can actually just reflect light. color theory is fun. I really like color theory. It's definitely a fun thing. Oh. Get a nice gradient going on over here. Use some water, a little bit of water. Everything blends smoother. And then I'm gonna want to make that look a little bit pale again. A pale orangish, yellowish color. A bit more yellow than that. Go. Nice. We're gonna get in here. We want more yellow. More yellow. And honestly, more vermilion. Yes. Nice little sunset over here. And just some color in the sky. And pretty. And I gotta swiftly move the brush along the canvas. Probably use a little bit of water. Smear it around. Okay, so we can kind of see the wing and stuff underneath. Doesn't really matter too much if we kind of erase a little bit of it, because as long as we can see what's underneath that, then we should be pretty fine. Alright. Let's go ahead and make actually go ahead and add some of this here. Ah, interesting. I think I want to add a little bit more pale blue. Let's do that. Take some light blue over here. Oh yeah. That's what we're missing. That's what we're missing. Nice pale blue layer to the sky. Alright, it's a race against the clock. We only have a few minutes left. a few more minutes, so we gotta make it count. Yeah, I think it's working out okay. So, not too terribly worried about ending it pretty close to here. We've done a pretty decent amount. I mean, nothing too crazy, just working on some of the background stuff. And, you know, I honestly thought I'd be doing more with composition, but I suppose I'm doing a lot more with color composition today than anything. Yeah. We'll do more experiments with ads tomorrow night. If we're lucky, we might be joined by Husbando, by Keto Squared. Alrighty. Yeah. So we're pretty much gonna probably wrap it up here. I do a raid, but boy, lately it's been pretty quiet in my streams, so I haven't really been doing raids lately. Yeah, maybe I have too many overlays. Maybe I have too many technical difficulties. Who even knows what's going on? But I think that I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night. We made at least a little bit of progress tonight. Nothing too crazy, but we got a little something going on over here, so I'm pretty happy about that. Maybe I can add some like icy plants and things like that. I'm not really sure. But yeah, all right. I'll be back tomorrow. I hope you have a beautiful night, and hope that you enjoy your evening. And I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys. Bye, Space Daddy. Bye, everybody. Have a super good night.